Welcome back to the Granddad Podcast. Granddad,
Hello, everyone.
nice to see you. This is just going to be a catch up because so much has happened since the last time we talked.
Well,
And
maybe a lot to you. When you're a boomer, actually, not a lot happens, but go ahead.
yeah, but you're living as part of our story, so a lot is sort of happening to you.
Yeah, mostly it's about teaching, but you go ahead. So you guys are in a new place.
We are in a new place. Well, we're in a new old place. Because if you've been following my channels, and I've posted a lot of shorts on it, we went to Florida. We visited Granddad, which we'll talk about that trip in a second. And I got back, and we've been living in that cold farmhouse through the Arctic blast. We were like, we're so tough. You know, it's only 20 degrees Fahrenheit in the house, but look at us. We're great. And then they started the renovations while we were gone. And when we came back, it was even colder. It was even colder, and we lost our kitchen, and then they threw out the sink, and we're like, what are we doing? And I know
You told me that actually you felt you were really underfoot, and you hated the feeling of all these workers looking at you and going, you're bothering me.
All of the above. I mean, Roland literally was like, oh, you guys are going to stay here during the renos. He's like, okay, like, do you have anywhere to stay?
Yeah, they really truly didn't want to share the space with you.
And they're such great people. And I've been over there every day since we moved out to go check on them. They're so excited to see us, and they're like buddies now. I've been giving them my home-baked, like homemade macaroni and cheese and like
well, no wonder you're their best buddy. I feel the same way.
But I think they were nervous as much as I was nervous about them sort of like watching us. I think they, having to work around a family. And we're not just a couple. We're like a family with 2 kids. I think they were a little worried about that. So
I totally agree with them.
Yeah. We looked at 2 options. One of them was to actually move into your trailer that's down the road. So you're in Florida. Your trailer is down our road.
I thought that was a really good idea.
It was a really good idea. And I thought it would be so fun and a great story. And all those things are true. There was a few sort of things we'd have to work around. One was that there were a few fixes we'd have to do first. Like, I think there was something wrong with the faucet, the furnace. It wasn't winterized. Like, all those are doable, but we knew it would take time, and we've been slammed with our own projects, so it probably wouldn't get done for a couple of weeks. So we were trying to like move out right away.
You're kind of missing the best feature of the trailer, though.
What's that?
It's free.
Oh yeah. No, that
was no small thing when you're broke.
That was no small thing. And we're trying to pinch our pennies, and we're both entrepreneurs. And the idea that we own a place and have to pay rent also was just like, oh my God, can't do it.
Oh, that hurt.
It really hurt. But we were sort of saying like, well, we don't know what prices people would even charge because we're off season. So why don't we just reach out? So we reached out to our old landlady. This is the same property that we...
And by that, just in case she's listening, you mean your former landlady, not that she's old.
Sorry, she's not old. She's my age. Our former landlady. To be like, hey, so I know, so to give context, like we lived next door in her place before we moved into the farmhouse. We ran for our lives when the hurricane came because that farmhouse got like pretty well totaled. Underwater. We had just bought our farmhouse down the road, lucky enough, so we moved in. This place has a loft above the garage that she was Airbnb-ing.
No, you showed us the pictures on your website. You showed us the pictures.
On Instagram. That's right. Yeah. And she has people booked ever so often. I don't think they can charge the same. I mean, the exterior still needs a lot of work.
I mean, you're right in a flood zone.
We're in a flood zone. There's debris out front that FEMA still needs to pick up.
Oh, no, it looks terrible.
So the idea that someone she knows and trusts would come, I could take care of her chickens. We could take care of the property. She doesn't have to deal with cleaning bills.
Oh, yeah.
And so she gave us like half price on this place.
Yeah, so everyone's really happy.
Oh, man. That first night of just turning on the heat a little bit at night, it was really
felt pretty good.
It felt
I'm just so impressed that you guys can live basically in one room. You guys can live in a standard of living we haven't seen in our family since like 1910.
You know what? I have why don't I just walk around a little bit? So like kitchen, basically into living room, and then there's 2 little bedrooms.
That's it. Space.
And we have two 5-year-olds and we both work from home. And so like Mark, I think, is in the bedroom right now taking his call. And I'm out
No,
here taking
you
my call.
guys can live on less. Most of us just wouldn't do it, Allie. You guys really
honestly,
are different that way.
You know, our farmhouse is big and there's separation of space. And there's something so nice about that where I can just like send Mark and the kids off to their own corners and everyone has their own space. But I actually kind of missed being around them and that's part of what our renovations are going to do. It's going to open it up a little bit more because I actually like seeing them. I want to know what they're doing. I have FOMO. I'm in the kitchen.
I just
I'm
don't
cooking,
want any of your audience looking at little Miss Chipper here and thinking that what you're doing is fun. No one but Allie would think that this is fun. No one. There's something wrong with you. I mean, I'm just going to say it. I think there's something maybe wrong with you.
No, like it wasn't just that your trailer was free. It was that it would be an adventure. I'm like, but we'll be all on top of each other. And I don't even know where we're going to put the dogs. And it's going to be such an adventure. Like that was part of what made me want to go to the trailer.
I spent a whole summer in the trailer. You know, it's kind of a misrepresentation to call it a trailer. It's really like a half wide. I mean, it's got a bedroom. It's got a loft. It's got a full kitchen. You know, it's not something you tow behind a truck. It's something you move once or twice. So the big difference is yours is basically just the double wide trailer.
Yes.
Except that it's much, you know, you can pound it. It doesn't sort of move on the wheels like mine does.
Right. Exactly. So the place where we're staying right now is like it would be the perfect vacation rental for parents with 2 kids. We're going to treat it as like our 6-month rental.
So Little Miss Chipper, it's a perfect rental place for someone who has no kids.
It's 2 bedrooms. No, I mean, because they're like in and out in a weekend. Like it's just, we come, we stay, we hike, and we leave. That's what I mean.
It's a perfect overnight.
Just for like a couple nights. Like it's a really good Airbnb. But for us, like, I don't know, we just have always kind of found a way around each other. We really like being around each other.
You know, maybe you can repay your young landlady by letting everyone see that nice place. So when they all come to visit you, they can stay in Spring Creek, which is just down the road from where the farm is.
It's true. And honestly, like when we were living right next door, we had all of our friends and family stay here. It's like a cabin feel. It's a really nice
place. It's kind of what I want my old guy place to be. It's got nice high ceilings. It's a nice space. It's really nice.
Yep. It's really good.
But just not for a family. For a long time.
For Allie and her family. No, not for a long time.
Well, there's something, we all agree that you're special.
I am special. And also, you like talk to me again in 4 months because maybe I'll be
Are you going to be there that long, do you think?
You know, these guys are slow. It's mountain time. And there's a lot to be done. I mean, I think they're just going to kind of
maybe you should move back in after a couple of months, and then when they have to work around you, they'll speed it up just to get it over with.
That's true. It could be motivating. It's hard to know. I mean, we sort of roughly said 3 to 6 months, but the more we look at it, we're like maybe end of summer. I don't know. I'm not really sure. It's hard to know because we might be able to move back in if they're done the kitchen dining room, and maybe they're just fixing the flooring in the living room parlor. I mean, probably we could just move in, and it's gonna be warm and different season.
Yeah, summer's so magical there.
Yeah, really magical. And but before then, we came to visit you. And this was my first time leaving North Carolina since we moved here. And if you guys know me, you know I kind of moved to a place and I want to stay. I'm very much like ingrained myself in the life. And we were taking on rescue dogs and there was baby chickens being born. And it just felt like there was so much exciting things happening. But what this trip to
What
Florida,
is the but? But Allie suffers deeply from
FOMO, first of all. So my husband took my girls first in like November, December. And I'm like, no, it's so great because I love my life here. And then I like wept all weekend because I was just like, missed you guys so much. And you guys were having so much fun
without you.
I know. And then, so I came onto this trip and I'm so glad I did because what it made me realize is that even if I really love what I do and the farm and the animals, I needed a mental break from being like, there's something very monotonous about farm chores. It's the same thing every day. Getting woken up by the cats. I was really like, it was really cold where we were. Just getting out of that for a bit made me look forward to coming back. It's good to remember that you need breaks.
Probably they would be interested in understanding what Granddad did in Florida.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So my mother was widowed, you know, for many years. And she And she and I were very close. And so it really fell to me to be responsible for her. And here I am on the East Coast in northern New England, and she's on the Canadian prairies in Calgary. It was a long way away, and that's a bitter winter. That's a seriously bad winter. And so I had all of these mental images of my little tiny crunchy mother walking on these uneven icy prairie roads to go get her food in -20. It was just an appalling mental image. And she wouldn't fix it. We offered her everything. Well, it turned out what she really wanted was to sit in the middle of my kitchen and boss my wife around. She would have accepted that. My wife politely declined. And so we were left trooping up there to look after her. Everyone took their shift. It was miserable. Trapped in this house on the Canadian prairies in the middle of February, the wind blowing the snow across the driveway and nothing to do. We all hated it. And so when we knew that Holly had her Parkinson's disease, we said, we're not going to do that. If the kids come to visit us out of duty, then we failed. And we had enough money that what we said was this: you know what? Let's make it fun to visit us. And everyone was living up north at that time. So we said, you know what we would have loved when we were young and broke? We would have loved if we could have done our winter vacation in the tropics visiting our grandparents. And so we literally, this is before everything exploded in price a few years ago. So what we literally did was we bought a house in a community that's kind of a resort. So that when everyone comes to visit us, it's like a free Florida vacation. And so now instead of being a punishment to come and see poor old sick grandma, it was actually a, hey, got to go see grandma, taking my bathing suit. It
And
worked.
So good. I mean, and when I came down with the babies 5 years ago from Canada, and I said, I'm not going back home, I would have come to visit you with the babies if you were still in New England. I just wouldn't have liked it, and I may not have stayed.
No, you would have done it grudgingly as duty.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
And we've talked a lot about what's going to happen with the Florida house now that you're spending season here. What's going to happen once you have a house here so that you can actually, like, you're winterized, you're good to go. And there was a year there where it's like, well, no one's really coming to Florida anymore. Your older boys, their kids are older. We're here now. They live down south. They're warmer.
So there isn't that urgency in February, right?
We got a lot going on, yada, yada, yada. And it's like, well, maybe I'll sell it. But then this year, we all kind of came back. And it's been really good. And actually, we're looking at me and the girls now coming in April.
Well, that was sort of the idea, right? And and it worked really well when Holly was ill. Mm-hmm. And then we sort of went through a slump, and I sort of wondered, boy, this is a lot for one old guy to keep up. And I really love being in North Carolina. But this year it has really rejuvenated. And again, it's back to our state. And, so everyone that's older watching this, my thinking is, if you want your kids to visit, then make it kind of fun to visit.
Yeah.
So this place was chosen with the very explicit desire. This is really fun to visit when you're broke and have small kids.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So these are some of the things we did that are really surprising. You know what it turns out is really fun here? I'm just saying, Allie, it's just true. The stupid golf cart. You would never believe a golf cart is fun. When you have little kids, it turns out schlepping little kids and all their gear around is kind of boring. Yeah. But if you can turn that into really fun, because you throw it in the back and all the kids, hang on, kids, you don't want to fall out at 10 miles an hour. Turns out everyone loves that.
Yeah, they really do.
So, I spend every day thinking about how to make this more fun to entice people to visit. And, if you want your kids to visit, make it fun. They'll come out of duty. But if it's duty combined with a vacation, it's really fun.
Absolutely. And it was a bit of a shock to be back. Because we lived in Florida for 3 years. Yeah, we lived in Florida for 3 years, and then we were gone for 2. And the 2 here, I love living in the mountains of Western North Carolina, but it's intense. You have to haul your garbage. You have to get up steep, slippery mountain slopes. You have to
nothing's level.
Nothing's level. Everything's cold or hot or whatever. I mean, it's one of the most beautiful, fantastic, fabulous places to live. But it's a lot. You don't realize how much work it is. It really creeps up on you.
No, you earn it.
the shock of how easy everything was in Florida. I mean, so I cooked a lot when I was at your place. You had this beautiful kitchen. That was so fun for me. And you know what was the best part of that whole experience? Was that my measuring cups were level. I just put the flour in and I set it down, and I could trust that the counter was flat. I was like, this is so good. Our house is so poorly structured that when the dogs wake up, they shake their head and the whole house shakes, and nothing shook. And we couldn't hear each other, and it was quiet in your house. And it was like, wow.
Well, it's
The
cinder
dogs,
block poured concrete. I mean, it's basically a bunker.
oh my gosh. And then the other big shocker was seeing the dogs again. And these are dogs, I mean, I'm used to little yappy dogs too. I grew up in like posh Calgary, but now I'm used to like rough, rugged,
Yeah, dogs
half-starved
that can live out in the
strays
wilds for 6 weeks.
out in the wild, or dogs that have been like a working dog on a farm. And, you know, my Pyrenees are huge. And your sweet neighbor passed us by. She follows us, and her Golden was in the front seat. And I'm like, oh, what a beautiful dog. And she told me this whole story about how this dog, she's like, he's just so big. And I wasn't sure if I could handle it because he's so big. And I'm looking at this dog who's like half the size of my Pyrenees. And I'm like, yeah, like he's not that big. It's really not that big.
So I want you,
But
the
it's
next
a
time you
different,
come down, I'm going to ask for your viewers. I want you to see the dogs of affluent old people in Florida,
yeah,
because they all have these foo-foo dogs. You know, if
yeah,
you sort of go, Disney is drawing really cute cartoon dogs, all dogs go to heaven.
yeah.
That's what these people have. You've
Oh,
got to
yeah.
see
They're,
when people design their dogs, they aren't really dogs. They
no,
look like really
they're
cleverly
show dogs.
roboted stuffed animals. They're the cutest animals you've ever seen. I'm not sure they're dogs, Allie.
The surprising part actually is how many of them were strays, were picked up from
I would bet over
the shelter.
half are rescue dogs.
But they're purebred. So it's just, you know, it's a different, obviously the purebreds are very sought after in that area. And then a lot of them end up getting dumped at a shelter because,
Well, they don't get
like,
dumped. Well, it's sort of they get dumped for different reasons. They get dumped because they're old people and grandma dies,
oh,
and the kids don't want them because it's not really a dog.
yeah, that's true.
So
That's very
their
true.
dogs are designed to be really nice companion dogs that don't shed, are really cute to look at. I mean,
Yeah.
you got to do a feature. Your audience will just laugh so much
The
to
dogs
see
of
the
Florida.
fake dogs of Florida.
Oh my gosh, because they've been following my accounts, and it's all these like hounds. So many
Oh,
hounds
look,
here.
and
Hunting
most of them aren't
dogs.
purebred. Most of them, like you show the pedigrees, it's like all the way down to Mongolian, you know?
Oh, yeah, we just got the test results for Maggie, and she had like 100 breeds in her. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like,
And she looks it too, by the way.
her legs are
Yes.
too short for her toes, which are too, you know, her long body, and it's just very
She
awkward.
walks at an angle. But at least they're
Um,
real dogs.
they are real dogs. So as a update on the farm, so
Yeah.
I've been posting about it, but we lost our goats.
I can't believe I can't believe you're surprised.
I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm honestly not surprised. I wouldn't say that. What's so I started talking to some of the folks in the community because everyone's keeping an eye out for them. Like, it's a small community. There's not that many people here. Someone's eventually going to spot them. But everyone here friggin' loses their animals all the time. I had no idea getting into farm life
You know why
that
they
that would
don't
be your
lose
number
them
one
here?
problem.
You know why they don't lose them here?
Why?
Because they're all leashed.
They're all
You
leashed and they're
can't
on
walk
side.
your cat without a leash.
No, that's true.
So
It's
no
true.
one
Whereas
ever loses
here,
their valuable little stuffed animals here.
I mean, you're spending most of your time, money, and effort rebuilding fencing, electric netting. Sometimes it can be awesome. Sometimes the animal will just take the hit and keep going. One of my friends, Lada, she has cows. She's like, they're always in the forest. They break through her wooden slatted fence constantly, or they jump the fence and they're gone. And she said she's just getting messages all the time. You got to come round up the cows again. My other friend has sheep, same problem, and goats are the most notorious. So the fact that we were
You're
able to
feeling
keep
a
them,
lot less negligent, I take it.
a
This is
lot.
your
I
whiny,
felt,
long-winded justification for why you lost your dog.
God, I felt so embarrassed because I'm like, I'm supposed to be the goat run club lady and I don't have a handle on my animals. And the fact that they lasted as long as they did in that rickety, like really fast makeshift uh, fence that you guys put up right after the hurricane
Hey,
is
you
actually
call my fast, perfect fence rickety. Am I missing something here?
well, I learned something. Part of the reason why it's so rickety is twofold. So again, we're learning as we go. We're
Oh, you
learning
don't
how to
think it's
have
because your
animals. We're
big
learning.
100-pound dogs jump on it 13 times a day?
So I had done some research online, and this was the fencing that I was told was really good for goats. Turns out there's goat-specific fencing that's thicker, because what goats do is they put their little pawsies up or hooves, and they stand on it, so they're constantly compressing it. That's why the fence was getting wavier and wavier. It wasn't just the dogs, it was that the goats pressed down, and then it starts breaking off. And we're getting a proper goat space. Well, assuming we can ever find the goats again, but we're getting a
See,
proper
I think
animal
that in all
space.
this discussion, you're missing a central point. Well, your goats and dogs only ran away twice, both times when you left.
I was gone.
No, it was right when you left.
Right when I left. And
Almost
here's the
to
thing,
the
it's not like
day,
I
right?
haven't been,
So I
I've left
wonder
the
a lot
house
of it is
before.
they kind of wondered where you went. So I think that's a central issue that you need to think about
Yeah.
is they're obviously centered on you.
Yes, they are. Yep. And in fact, with the dogs and goats this most recent time, we found out from our contractors that they had actually gotten out earlier that day. But because the contractors were there, they were just hanging out. They're like, this is a
That's
great
right.
time. He said, I didn't really, I thought it was okay that they were, because sometimes I do let them free range. I thought it was okay. They were all hanging out. They were sleeping, napping, saying hi. And as soon as the contractors left, they left about 2:30, and I didn't get back to the house until about 3. And it was a half-hour period where no one was there.
To me, that's a really important point is they're keying on the humans and especially you. And really, I mean, I think it's kind of interesting to see if and when they show up again, except that Cricket's pregnant.
That's the part. If it was just goats out in the wild, I'd say that's ridiculous, but they're smart and I'm sure they're fine. Actually, goats are like
And they'll
they
probably
forage
eat
and all those
poison
things.
ivy. So
And
there's
they're going
that.
to eat poison ivy.
Yeah.
They're going to do some good for the community. There's tons
Yeah.
of water here, tons of stuff to forage. What really makes me sad is that Cricket is due.
I'll be surprised if they don't show up. My bet is they will.
Someone suggested, I guess female goats could do this, that she's kind of bedding down somewhere.
Yeah.
Because she knows she feels she's due soon. And the boys might just be staying with her.
Yeah.
And, you know, assuming they do survive, goats live a long time. So even if they don't show up in the next few months, it could be a couple years from now. I've heard stories of animals coming back like a couple years later. And they're like, hey.
So where do you think they went?
I think what happens is because they always follow the dogs. The dogs are there like part of their herd. And at some point as they were wandering down our road, they got separated because the dogs ended up with the neighbors.
Went downhill, not uphill?
I think they went downhill because that's where the dogs ended up.
And you think they went left or right?
When you walking out of our house, I think they went right, so downhill. And
But then once they were on the highway, do you think they went right into the woods or left?
I don't know. Someone who was, I think, right. I would assume they would have stayed kind of on the same side. When someone who had his car stalled out at the bottom, when we were kind of going around looking for him, and I'm like, hey, I want to help you. I gotta go try and find my goats. And he said, oh, I saw them a while back. So they were spotted, but just the goats. So obviously at that point, I don't know whether they got distracted with foraging and ended up down a different path, if they went up into the mountain.
Have you thought about trying to leave some food down there?
Yeah, I could do that. We can try. Yeah.
Every animal will track to where there's easy pickings.
Yeah. Might be worthwhile in that corner.
Take your
maybe.
best shot and try putting food there.
Yeah.
At the very least, you'll get some deer.
Yes.
Yeah, I would try that.
Actually, I saw a deer and thought it was cricket. I got very excited.
Same color.
Yeah. Same color. Yeah. So that's the update with the goats. Everyone's keeping an eye out. I've notified, I even was able to notify the shelter, because they keep an eye on that kind of thing too, sent Facebook groups, all that kind of stuff. And then, we are also, just this morning, someone dropped off another Pyrenees, which I was hesitant to help out with because we don't have any livestock for them to watch right now. But he was kind of in a rough situation, and she's good with chickens and children, and those are kind of my two requirements. So she's with us right now. There's a chance if he can get back on his feet, he'll take her back. But we might
So
have
has
three
that
puppies.
dog met your Pyrenees yet?
Yes.
How'd they get along?
Um, they did their usual, like who's humping who and who's barking at who, and we're not sure about each other. And they've all just been like lounging in the grass. I brought them over. They slept the night at the rental because they're bored. They don't have anyone to look after.
Lost around, yeah.
So they're with us now. We'll bring over the goat house for a bit more shelter, and I'll take them for our runs. And yeah, every run I go, that I'm on, I keep an eye out for the goats. Mark went hiking behind the farmhouse to see if he could find them.
Any luck?
He couldn't find them.
No, not even any footprints or anything.
Nothing. Yeah. So yeah, but so that's where we're at. Oh, and my neighbor just had piglets. I think we're gonna end up with pigs this year.
Well, you better get going on fencing.
Yeah. We're just getting their paddock fence. So Harold, our grader, came by, pounded huge stakes into the ground, sort of around what was the old garden in the farmhouse. So those are in, and the fellow who did the fencing at Rarebird Farm, where there's a bunch of animals, that's the concert venue up the road. He's going to be installing using proper thick goat wire. He's going to get that proper fencing up with a gate. So we're going to have something that's set up for the livestock, assuming we can find them or get them or rescue them.
You might want to let the goats know that they might be replaceable. I wonder if they understand that at some point we stop looking.
At some point I stop looking. They'll always have a place with us, but I don't know, people,
just moving on. Maybe they're just not that into us and we're going to have to get new animals.
I know. And the other thing to keep in mind is that Spring Creek is a place that attracts a lot of people who come here to get away from everything and actually they're not on the email group. They don't have Facebook. They very specifically are trying to live off grid. And if they see 3 cute goats, they're like, okay, I have 3 goats now. You know what I mean? It would not shock me if someone has them.
Yeah. At some point, it'll be fun just to go bopping around, just stopping at the various remote haulers, as they say, and seeing what's there.
And just see. Yeah. Yeah. So
that said, no one's indispensable.
No one is indispensable, and it's always an adventure here. In my heart, I believe they're fine. I think they're very smart. They're very savvy. They know how to feed themselves. It's just a real bummer because they were such key characters.
Well, and also the fact that I'm
going
to hold this over your head for the rest of your life. I mean, that's the other part.
You got me the boys last year.
Right. I'm just going to say, wow, what are you
throw away
going to do?
gifts
Lose them like the goats?
I know. Oh my God. But you had a good idea because you were talking about trackers. The problem is trackers don't work around the mountains.
Yeah.
But putting collars on them, first of all, so they don't look like they're just random goats, and then putting a little tag. I didn't even think about a tag for goats. Yeah, seriously. I want my goats back.
Yeah. Because otherwise, how would anyone know?
No, unless they've seen my emails and Facebook.
And they're nice animals, so if they came in and started mooching off you, you'd probably keep them.
Yeah. I mean, we end up with stray dogs at our place, and we put the word out, but if they don't have a microchip and no one's responded, I mean, they're basically ours or we find a good home for them.
Yes, that's correct.
So it's the same thing here. I'm sure Bruce, he was a purebred lab. I'm sure he had a home and just no one claimed him. So there you go.
Yeah. No. Yeah. So it's a pretty interesting story, and certainly off the track of people that lived in civilized communities in Florida can't even imagine.
Seriously. Well, Granddad, any other updates you can think of? This is sort of our update show because there's so much that is going on.
Well, I don't know if your audience is interested in the fact that I teach. So I recklessly I took a teaching contract. So just to let you know, some of us still have to work. I know it sounds like great that I don't, but I do.
Teaching what? Teaching.
Well, I teach clinical reasoning in medicine.
Yes.
So basically I teach the mechanism of disease, pathophysiology, and how you correlate that to your patient's presentation and how you treat. So, the mechanism of disease is sort of the absolute core of medicine. So if you don't have a good mental picture of that, you're just kind of memorizing words.
Yeah.
So I work with medical schools all over the place, and this is one that's basically out of the Bahamas.
And
I'm really enjoying it. They're the nicest students. I'm having a great time doing it.
That's good. Well, it's hard. When you get into, I mean, I used to love teaching yoga. It's not obviously it's a different thing, but I understand that when you get into teaching something that you're really passionate about, like it's really addictive. It's hard to give it up.
Allie, it's an addiction. I just, if I don't teach, I feel this pressure building in me, and so I'm really
Yeah.
enjoying it and teaching how to think about disease. Believe it or not, it's just not well done in medicine. So I mean, I've taught students from all the medical schools in the world, and
Yeah.
it just isn't taught. So that's sort of the last mission of my life is figuring out how to teach that.
Really cool. Well, I'm going to see you in Florida in April. We have to talk.
Oh,
We'll
you're
talk
coming in
about
April?
dates. I'd love to if the room is
So
available.
just a note for your audience, when you go through causes of death in children, swimming is like number 2 or 3. So
Yeah.
one of the things you did that was really important for me was we waterproofed your girls.
They came, I mean, they'd taken some swimming lessons, but like they weren't
Yeah,
really doing
they
much.
would have drowned. The first time we threw them in the pool, they would have drowned.
They would have drowned. And it was a course of 10 days. And
Yeah.
by the end, they were swimmers. I mean, it got to the point where I was in the pool with them and I said, "Oh, let me grab your pool noodles. They're way at the other end." And I swam across and I turned around and they had swum the entire length of the pool with me.
Right. So
I'm
just
like,
my
when did
point
that
to
happen?
grandparents and parents of young children, a really good thing to think about is if you're going to take a vacation, go to a place with a nice pool and make a concerted effort for your kids to swim every day for 2 or 3 hours
Oh,
because,
yeah.
they'll handle their breathing. They'll be able to come to the surface. They won't panic. It really matters. We lose lots of children, because they can't do those basic things. They just haven't practiced.
Absolutely. And living in the mountains, it is hard to
Yeah.
get them swimming. You have to commute at least an hour to find a pool. So
Yeah.
it's really
You don't see
nice.
good swimmers if there's no practice.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So we're going to bring them down again, or I'm going to bring them down again, get them in the water again. And then after that, I mean, hopefully in May, you'll be here?
Yes, I think that's right. So, for me, it's when the nights don't go below 70 degrees. Boy, that's
Good
really
cutoff.
hot. If you don't ever cool off at night, all that
Yeah.
heat really starts to build. It starts to get really humid. So,
Yeah.
basically by the middle end of May, it's full on summer here,
Yeah.
and it just builds until September. So,
Yeah.
man, being in the mountains is magic time.
It really is. Well, if you like what we talked about today, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Otherwise, that's about it. We'll do another one of these soon, Granddad. This is a great catch up.
Oh, it's fun to talk.